I'm talking about OER and calculus. I'm Junalyn Navarra-Madsen. This is a collaborative work with Paul Ingram. So you can see here that I am going to report on pre and post-pandemic in terms of the OER implementation and of course the calculus teaching and learning. So you now have you can see that calculus reform, the curriculum started many, many years ago. But you can see that in this day and age, if you are a math major, you end up having a sequence of 3 semesters, right, of 4 credit hours. And you can see now that, yeah, what have we done with this sequence? Did we really end up having good math majors and math graduates and therefore competent mathematicians or competent math teachers? So the result reported by Bullock, Callahan, and Colors, you can see here that there's really strong effects on women and underrepresented minorities. And you can see that there's a increase of retention for these groups. And this university that I'm representing, Texas Woman's University, is in Denton, Texas, north of Dallas. You can see that the women's university is 90% women actually. And so, and it is also considered a Hispanic serving institution. So let me see whether I can get a few things done here in 15 minutes. So you know that when 2020, spring of 2020 came, everybody had to go immediately just do online classes, right? 100% online. And so the question is, what effect did this do to our students? So we now say, so the report, you can see that the report is actually done with many, many people doing papers on this. But I really recommend reading Strawberry Payne and Payne. They wrote 2023, and they asked this question to their students. Has COVID-19 pandemic impacted you regarding learning calculus? And what I really like about one of the answers that stood out is no, calculus has not been an, no, comma, calculus has been a consistent course because we are constantly engaging by working examples. So this is a good thing. The way that I'm looking at it is, oh yeah, calculus has been like, a fix. If you are a math major or a STEM major, you end up actually taking calculus 1 and 2 sometimes, depending on your major. If you're chemistry, biochemistry, they may end up asking you calculus 1, 2, 3. But anyway, my report is really on OER, Open Education Resources. Okay, so now I would like to give you the story, right? The Creative Commons, everybody must be using this. And then there's these massive online, the MOOCs, they say, and the OERs now, of course, and there's the MIT OpenCourseware. And so what have we done so far with OER? Well, Hilton, he has done a lot of papers on this. What did he report? He mostly reported on significant cost savings. Well, of course, that makes sense because if we're using ebooks and free ebooks like OpenStax ebooks, you can see a $300 textbook of calculus. Students end up saving a lot. And then there's the mixed results on learning outcomes. And these learning outcomes are mostly like generalized results, meaning pass, failure, or withdrawal rates with no details at all. So neither teachers nor students reported meaningful increases in student use. Both teachers and students perceive OERs as useful, but could be improved, definitely. So in my case, as a mathematician, I use, of course, Calculus 1, 2, 3 from OpenStax. And myopenmath.org is my online platform. Okay. So what did I do? In this study, just to make sure that my time is, okay. In this study, I have collected data from fall 2010 to spring 2023. But the ones, the time that I'm going to report here will be the zoomed in fall 2016, before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic. Okay, so randomly selected 800 students, comprehensive final exam. We studied them and analyzed, because this comprehensive exam has 20 multiple choice questions. This was in my paper. In our paper, we made sure that, we explained the plan. We ended up, collaborative work of making sure that we have this 20 multiple choice questions covering all the topics, at the same time ensuring that we have the student learning outcomes covered. And then there's these 2 free response questions. But the main focus, oh, there's my column there, student learning outcomes. So here they are. We're doing limits, right? Definitely first calculus one single variable. And then when you have limits, you have to have understanding of functions. So these are, I would just say, no detail. Time is not my friend, but I will make sure that you understand that calculus reform made a big deal about number 4. Student learning outcome number 4 is apply knowledge of derivatives and antiderivatives to real world situations. So that's important. So we will focus it here. So here's one. So slow number 4. So to be able to apply knowledge. So given a word problem, so this is one of our multiple choice questions in the exam, you can see now that they have to really use their knowledge. First of all, they have to make sure that they have understanding. They have to also have a little bit of geometry here, right? Because they have to draw or sketch the cone, the tank. And anyway, my main point here is that they're being tested. And slow number 4 is the one that's focused by this problem. So there are 20 multiple choice problems, and one of them will be this. Okay. So now, in terms of integration, if you're a mathematician, of course, people would say, what do you do in calculus 1? Well, we find derivatives dealing with slopes. And then when we're dealing with integration, we're dealing with areas under the curve or volumes if you're dealing with 3 dimensions. So again, slow number 4 is the focus. We're saying, can you find the area between the curves? Oh, I mean, under the curve, but of course, between these numbers 5 and 9. Okay. So my main report here, because time is my main report is the fact that why do we need to assess at the slow level? The reports of most of the papers I have read, hundreds of them, deals with cost savings, usage, the perceptions by students, teachers, and then of course the big reports on drops, failures, and withdrawal rates, right? But why do we need to do this beyond just those superficial, I would say, the final grades report? Well, it's because in order to measure positive learning outcomes, students must exhibit certain basic understanding of the 2 big concepts, differentiation, integration. So this is the big picture here. So I'm going to zoom in. And therefore, I'm going to zoom in to fall 2016 to 2023. So these are the slow number 1, slow number 2, 3, and 4. So in fall 2016, you can see now the effects that, oh yeah, it's like almost same old, same old. And then what is really nice about the spring 2020, we were already transitioning to use OpenStax ebooks when we had the pandemic. So really, we did not have this big effect on the slows in terms of the students' performance. So, and then the main report here is the fact that I have to give you a story of what is pre-pandemic. So these are student groups, right? Pre-pandemic groups, pandemic and post-pandemic. So it looks like the pre-pandemic, we were doing all of these like mostly face-to-face, and some students, I don't know what, we are in a second paper where we're gonna start delving into the demographics and story behind each student. But here in the pandemic, you can see that we did not have a big downturn trend here of the slows. And another thing is, it looks like in the post-pandemic, we are actually almost the same. And slow number 4, which is really, really nice. Slow number 4 here is actually high during the pandemic. So it looks like students is really focused during the pandemic. No need to go anywhere or something. I don't know. That's my little, I would say, conjecture. So now, this is about the story of OER now and post OER. So before OER, these are the, I would, every objective here. So you can see that the taking derivatives, limits, and actually limits first in order to understand different functions, they were pretty low before OER. And then, boom, we have a big increase post OER. I wonder whether this was the ebook, because everybody has textbook immediately day 1 of the semester. When we were using, for example, Larson and Edwards, the 10th edition, students sometimes don't buy their textbooks. And sometimes they end up not having some homework done the first week, second week, yeah. But the first week we have it here. Access is already there. And therefore, time tells me that I have to go to the results. Statistically, this is now the report. Statistically, we are going to have, we needed to check actually what we call using multivariate test. This is grouping exam questions via slows. And so you can see it, since this study deals with pre-OER, post-OER, you can see now that there is statistically significant results. We have, this is the multivariate, and here's the univariate. And it looks like we are really, the highly significant one was, of course, the slow number 1, which says that, if you can take the limits and you understand whether you are dealing with a function that is, trigonometric versus exponential. So in a way, this is less than 0.001. And objective number 4, if you really have to go back to objective number 4, we now know that, yes, we have a 0.006. Our p-value is 0.006. Alpha is 0.05. So this is still significant. Oh, there's my timer for 15 minutes. So now, in a few seconds, the sample size of this study may not be the largest. We're not talking about thousands, but what is really important here is the long time that we have studied this. And then we also have to zoom into the slows, to the specific measurable learning outcomes in the course. And so this is the big deal here. And I would like to acknowledge my research fellowship from the College of Arts and Sciences. They gave me a release time of 3 credit hours. I'll stop here.